Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Wednesday. It's June the 4th. This will be our chart lesson today. And we've had some really good movement today. It started out looking like it was going to be a typical kind of range day, uh, but there's a channel working up here, and it's held pretty well. And you could find this fairly early. I believe that there's a possibility that there's even a bigger channel here with maybe a midline, but we don't have enough price action. I got to see it come up here and touch this line and turn down first. But there's no doubt you've got this channel working up. Here's the first range, and that should have been your target for the second one. And you can see we've come basically right to that, and we're turning down now. So it may end up just being a uh, range day with the two tiers on it before it's over, but you can't deny that we've been basically in an uptrend since the open. We tested this bottom at the open, and we've been trending higher ever since. And it's been a pretty good trend with some pretty good moves, and so there's a chance to a little bit better today, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And we may not be done yet because we may have this two-tiered range here, so we may be headed up to these highs, maybe right in there. That's what I would look for first, and might even be here, but we still haven't gotten to those levels yet. Maybe that's it, and maybe this. Let's just see how this fits a little lower, maybe. Possible, very possible. Mm. But I actually found this these two lines off these highs and drug this down. So if we're going to get a measured one, it's going to be more like that. So that's what I'm thinking. Again, we don't have enough price action for that to confirm it yet, but there's no doubt we've got a nice channel working up here, and it's, the EMA is pointing straight up, so it's fairly easy to see here, no doubt about it. But let's talk about the trades, and we'll go from there. The first trade I saw, I ended up drawing this one green. It is a failed second entry long. Notice the new high. You've got two legs down. This is not really rangy looking at this point. This is just prices making lower highs and lower lows. And it pulls back to that same line. This kind of confirms that trend line. We didn't get a break there though, and it tried to go higher. But if you drew your little short-term trend line, you see it break and the retest, and it found resistance. So if you went short right there, I think it's a fairly decent setup. It's not the best, but it's decent enough. And it is a failed second entry long, so I like that trap setup. So if you saw that one, not a bad trade. I don't think you want to go short down here at these lows. Um, and then you get two legs back up, and you get another big bearish reversal bar. This is the first break of this channel. Like I said, this is a clear channel working lower. It's not as rangy looking as it's been some of the other times. As we've started off, it's actually trending down, and it's making clear swings, and everything is mostly below the EMA. And so that's a little bit different. And so then you get two legs up, and you got a big bearish bar. I like going short there. Somebody else sent me their chart, and they didn't have a very good setup here. Their bars were just kind of overlapping. It looked more like it did yesterday, right in that same area. But because of this big bearish bar, I kind of like this one. I did like trying to get in with a limit order just so you weren't so close to the lows, and then it moved on down. I don't think you could enter here due to all that overlap. Now it's starting to look congestive. So if you didn't enter on this first move, and again, the trader that asked me about this, he didn't have quite as good a setup. It looked more like this right here with a lot of overlap and stuff. So on his chart, it wasn't a good setup. Mine it is. So it really depends on your chart. And a lot of times uh, one chart will have a great setup and the other won't. But the next trade, he has a better setup than mine, and so all this stuff works out. You can't concern yourself with it. If the setup's not there, and his issue was, hey, this looks a lot like it did yesterday. Except today it worked and yesterday it didn't. So, what do you do? Well, he did the right thing by not taking the trade. And I want to clarify that. If the setup's not there, don't take the trade. Just because it works, that's what happens. You see a setup that doesn't work almost every day, and then suddenly it works. and it gets you to questioning the trade, and you take it that time, and then it fails. So by not taking it, even though it worked out, he did the right thing. It just so happened it got enough movement that it worked this time. So make sure you understand that. I want to make sure he understands that. So you can't concern yourself with there's going to be moves on here that you're not going to get because they're not a great setup. This is not a perfect setup here, but it still moved lower. And this one's not as this is a much better one because you got two legs up and there's a little two-legged correction in the middle there too. And so it's a second entry long, second entry short, I'm sorry, with a big bearish reversal bar. You're looking for prices to try to make a new low. And of course you got two legs down, and so when it bounces right here out in that little bitty bar, it's a real safe entry or a real minor or low risk entry, I guess you should say. And so I like that one. You know it's going back to the EMA at the least probably. But this thing just keeps going. So this was really the trade of the day early on anyway. And you really get another opportunity here. This pattern right here looks almost exactly like this one. It's a similar type pattern. And you'll hear me talk about that. Watch for these repeat patterns, and you'll see them over and over. But you get a two-legged pullback here. I did not like this one. If you used a limit order, it probably would have worked to the long side. But this was looking like a possible range, and you know, it's not a great setup. You've got the little trend line working down. It's probably a little steeper than that, like so. And you didn't have a break. This was the first break, and so then when it tried to go up twice and failed, and that's a nice reversal bar off those highs. It was looking so much like a range day that you have to take it. I like that to the short. You don't have to. It's a little bit aggressive probably because that's a huge move up. And usually when you get a huge move up like that, you're probably going to get another one, or at least an attempt to get another one. But I like this one enough to go short on, you know, a little bit of aggressive. So, and it is a second entry short on the bigger picture. Notice it's a double top right there at where you've already turned down before. So you tested it once, twice, three times. It was tempting to go short right here, but you can't go short right into all that support in the EMA. You got to get something a little higher than that, and this gave you that opportunity. And then you get two legs back, and guess where it bounces? Right off your suspected trend line, because I drew this up here and pulled it down to here, and when it bounced right here, I didn't like the first entry so much, but when it broke higher and tried to turn back down and made that little double top and broke higher, that's a second entry long, and it shot up pretty quick. It got a little scary when it pulled back, but it turns on up, and then it turns out to be the next move up. And you know what you want to do is get a measured move of this range, and that should be one of your targets. You can see that that's a perfect measured move. And the other one would be, I would shoot for something like this right there, and you can see that's where we found the first resistance, pulled back, and then went on to the second target. And you might even take one off of this move for your very first target. Just something to be looking at. And you see we want a little bit higher than that, but I think what we did was we got the rest of that entire move. And so this is a two-legged pullback to this, and I think you needed to wait on that little break higher than the pullback. I really wanted to see it break lower, but when it turned up and went higher right there, you could use a limit order, or you could really even use a stop there, but I think a limit order was a better thing. And it did come back and fill it. Once it started coming back, it takes a lot more nerve to get in it than on the break higher. So I just use a break higher on that. Figuring that we're going to come up here and at least test this double top, but I'm hoping we're going to go higher because now you've got an obvious channel working higher here. And so then you get a pull back here right on the midline. It breaks lower and goes out the top. Just have your stop. Once it broke lower here, put your stop there and just wait and see what happens. If it goes out the same bar, that's a good sign. That's the ones I like when it's doing that, and because you know you got people trapped and you got the momentum going your way, and just easy, fairly easy trade. And then you get another little two legs back, but you don't get a break of this channel until here, and then you try to get the retest, and then you get a second entry long, and you're looking for your target up here. And so that was another easy trade, and it went right to the target. exactly where you were looking for prices to go. And smart traders probably just going to exit everything right there. If you've got runners going or anything, you probably want to exit right there because there's a good chance we turn down here. Again, I don't know that this bigger channel is correct yet because we've never got up here to confirm that there's something going on up there. So I'm waiting for that to happen first. Now I do see, notice this is a new low here and you got a first entry and a second entry. This may fail and go higher. So there's a chance that there might be a failed second entry short here. It's dangerous going high, long up here at these new highs, but if this bigger channel's right, there's a good chance we're headed higher. So, something to think about there if you want to be aggressive. And that was pretty much it today. And it's about 12:30, much earlier than the last few days where you're sitting around and there's just nothing happening. There's still not a lot of trades, but there were a lot more today, a lot easier to spot, and definitely a lot better moves coming off of them. So you were able to get some runners today on a few of these trades. These are the ones that really, these traps at the lows, that's where, look at that. If you caught that, I'm going to exit right up here at these highs. But if you want to try to get at some swing trades, you could still be riding that. I don't like to do that. And the reason being is that I don't like to give any money back. And so you would have to ride this back out, not with it being a range day with high odds that we could come all the way back down here again. So I'm going to take my profits right there and look for another entry. That's just the way I do it, but it doesn't mean you have to do it that way. But I think that's a smart move, and that's what works for me. Some people are not as good at picking the entries, so when they get a good entry, maybe they want to try to go ahead and scalp out a portion and save some runners and see if they can get something. Because if this is a runner, it doesn't hurt you so much if it comes all the way back. Sure, you give up some profit, but on those days that you catch one and it keeps going, you can make some big money. So it just depends on your personality, how you like to trade, and things you like to do. So, but anyway, there's not much else to talk about today. Wouldn't surprise me if we go higher, but at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me if we correct here for a bit, if this turns out to be a bigger range day again, because we're making another, I'm pretty sure this is another new all-time high for the ES, and we just keep making them. And be careful. And that's one reason why I'm telling you on these shorts down here, be careful, because they do this every single day. And eventually they'll fool us and we'll probably get a little lost down here because they'll fool us and it'll keep going lower. But lately it don't go lower. It does not go lower. You just get these traps. There's one right there where it tried to go lower. Right here it tried to go lower. This area right here, they have tried to go lower here multiple times around between 915 and 917. I can show it to you all through here. It just keeps going higher from that point. All the buying comes back in around this same level over. See it right across there, 915. And actually since the 30th, 915 has been a acutely important area. 915, 916, all across here. Every time it comes down there, they're buying it. So doesn't mean that eventually they won't, but until they don't, you need to be aware of that. And these are things that you'll start to notice as you start to trade. You'll notice these things where if you're not really an experienced trader, you don't really notice stuff like that. You can't, you'll be thinking short and suddenly it's reversing and it's going straight up and you're like, why in the world did that happen? Well, there's a reason that happened. This has been strong support and the smart traders know it and they're waiting on it to come down here to buy it. And they trap people. Well, all they do is they trap you in these shorts. And there's a lot of people that have got short all the way down and they don't take their profits. They try to catch these big moves, which is hard to do, and they're trying to catch them counter trend on top of that because the overall bias longer term is definitely up, no doubt about that. So these unsuspecting traders, they see it trending down and they want to get short. They watch this move go and then they comes back and they watch another one and they say, well, if it does it again, I'm getting short, and they get a chance to get short. And if you trade the way we teach, you still got out of this trade. But if not, you're holding on, trying to see, you're hoping it's going to break through here, and it reverses, and the next thing you know, you're sitting on a loss, and then you see it up here, and you say, okay, it's going to come back again, and you're hoping and praying it's coming back, and then the next thing you know, you're way up here, and you've taken a huge loss for the day. Don't do that. Um, Understand there's a reason that prices reversed here, and there's a reason they went higher right here and didn't turn down. Uh, and the price action will tell you this stuff if you know how to read it. It's not easy. It takes time. It takes a lot of hard work. And if you saw um, the new lesson that I put up yesterday, it was really kind of a motivational about what it really takes to make it as a trader. And I think most people come in with very unreal expectations. They think this is a get rich quick scheme, and they're trying to get rich quick, and they think they're going to come in and just start trading and make all this money. And what they don't realize is they're going up against professionals that are experienced, that are skilled. They have honed their skill, and they've done it for years, for thousands. I mean, literally, I've got thousands and thousands of hours of sitting here watching this thing. And you come in here and trade for 3 or 4 months, you're just, it's my new skill. I believe that's how you pronounce that word. You got to excuse my southern drawl sometimes, because we pronounce things differently, and because we got this slow, dumb drawl down here. But anyway, the amount of time you got, even after a year or two, is tiny compared to what the number of hours that just even I've got, and there are people that have got many, many more hours of experience than me. I'm a small fry, so you have to understand that. And but anyway, that's enough for today. I'm going to wrap it up. Just understand this is hard work, and you got to stay with it, and you can't give in, and you can't get discouraged after a few months or a year, because you're not going to learn it in that period of time unless you're exceptional. And there's very few people that are born exceptional at this. It's a skill, and like any other kind of skill, it can be honed, and you can get better. I still get better at this every day. I still learn something new. The more I do it, the better I get, and I find that I haven't quit learning yet, and I don't know when I will. I doubt that I ever will. So I believe the skill is that important for what we're doing. It's not an innate ability. It's a skill. Um, you might have some traits that lend to helping you improve your skills quicker, I guess is what I'm trying to say, because there are some traits that if you're one thing I found is that if you're very analytical, you struggle in this, because you want specific rules, and you want to say it does this every time or it does that every time, and the markets don't do that. Um, it's like looking at everything uh, through. If you've ever picked up somebody else's glasses and put them on, and you see how blurry everything looks, well, that's how it is looking at the market. Nothing is perfect, and nothing is ever written in stone. We have these biases that we use that put the odds on our side. But you have to realize that if it really was as easy as writing a set of rules and doing that every time, we could create programs and we'd never have to trade. But as of so far, I haven't found anybody that can write a program that can out-trade me. I just don't think it's possible, because there's too much skill and experience involved that are outside analytical type rules. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. This is Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.